Hello ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be interviewing Reid, Sam, and Sophie, a few of the developers at Red Meat Games. They're producing a title called Bring the Light that incorporates VR and a heart rate monitor, but let's pass it over to them so they can get into the real meat of it and shed some light on what this game is.
It's a psychological horror game where the player will be facing not only the darkness of the world, but their own inner darkness, as well as testing their mental capacity by throwing them challenging puzzles and uncovering a bit of a mystery. There's a bit of a mystery in the story, and as the player travels deeper down into the game, they're going to uncover more of the story and more of what happened and why it happened. You're
thrust into this world unexpectedly, and you got to find ways to survive.
It is a little bit trickier and challenging design-wise to develop for VR.
Oh, yeah.
There's things we planned, and then we realized, that's not going to work in VR. We got to change that. So it does add an extra layer, but there is that the extra market, and I think there's a lot of fun stuff we can do in VR. But it's also tricky to balance because we're not VR only, so we have to balance that. It's a bit of a tricky balance.
And also, I feel like because we're making a horror game, that the VR aspect really brings the monsters in your face.
That's true. It does make the horror aspect you're more immersed in the world, so everything is a lot. The scare goes up a notch. Yeah.
VR is incredible. It's incredible for this kind of immersion. The monsters being right there in your face, holy smokes.
And you can hear it, especially with the
3D sound.
The 3D sound, and you can hear something whispering right behind your ear, and you're like, what the hell? You turn around and there's nothing there.
I love that because I'm working on sound every day, and every once in a while those sounds scare the crap out of me.
They are excellent.
Oh, thank you. I'd say that's a big part, I've said before, a big part of our game is to play with the light and play with the sound.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's it. Those are the main thing. It's not just about surprising the player, it's about getting the player in suspense and then stretching that suspense out as long as you can before you finally snap it, right?
When they put their guard down for a second.
Right. And I think, is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? Is it going to happen?
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, maybe it's not. Maybe they're just messing with me. Then boom, then you hit them.
Oh, yeah. It's all about timing. Timing in comedies, timing in horror.
I used to, sort of go on a bit of a side tangent here, but I used to volunteer with the local zoo in Moncton, and they had a fundraiser for Boot the Zoo. So I had a lot of time to experiment with different, and we'd build haunted houses, right? And a lot of time to experiment with a lot of scares and a lot of stuff I've taken from there, learnings I've taken from there that I've brought into the game already.
The hardest part in some ways is innovating, that we're using this heart rate monitor, and the thing is that most games haven't done this, so there's not really a lot of standard practices, documentations. How do you get Unity to accept a heart rate signal for PC?
The idea of tying the player's heart rate to the scares is an interesting one. Being able to see that a player, we're throwing a scare at them, they're not getting scared, so we can increase the amount of scares coming at them. If a player is too scared and their heart rate is high, we can kind of dial it back a bit and give them a bit more of a break, right? It also brings other challenges too. I mean, there can be some liabilities there if a player's heart rate is really high, and so we put tolerances in there. So if a player's heart rate is above a certain threshold, we just stop the scares because we don't want to
dial it back a bit.
I don't know if we can realistically give somebody a heart attack, but I wouldn't want anybody to be able to have a case for that, right?
I love horror, and just being able to work in a scary game is really cool for me because I grew up loving scary games. A huge Resident Evil fan, Silent Hill, all the challenges and everything. It's really, really cool to work on a project that's kind of close to home. Yeah.
Well, that was certainly enlightening. If you're interested in checking out Bring the Light for yourself, share your excitement in the comments below and head over to their Steam page today. We wouldn't want to butcher the sales pitch here, but we're expecting it'll meet your expectations.